Uh, Hello, friends. Welcome to my IoT smart farm system. This is a system that has been designed to measure environmental conditions within the farm and then could take control actions, ensuring that such conditions are within the thresholds that are best for plant growth. So the system is composed of a number of components, uh, including sensors, which basically take the measurements of the environmental conditions and then push it to cloud. Apart from that, we have actuators that are actuated by the sensors based on the measured environmental condition, thereby ensuring that such conditions are maintained within allowable limits. So just to start over and try to explain how this system works, maybe allow me to start with the components. On my table is the setup with a breadboard together with all the components that will carry out functions that will ensure this system works optimally. First and foremost, I have a microcontroller, which is Arduino Nano 33 IoT microcontroller. This microcontroller has a Wi-Fi module that enables it to send data to the cloud for analysis. Equally, I have an LCD display that basically assists me to display the measured conditions and the actions taken for local viewing or monitoring. Again, I have a number of LEDs which basically assist in local display. The first LED I have is an orange LED which acts as a light bulb for my case. So when the light luminous intensity is below the set threshold, which is 300 candelas, then this LED will go on. It will go on, thereby ensuring that there is adequate light within the greenhouse, allowing the plants to photosynthesize. The next LED that I have is a red LED, which is basically a security status LED. This LED assists in this LED is turned on when intrusion is detected in the farm, just for local indication showing that there is invasion into the farm. And then we have a green LED, which basically indicates to show the status of the tank. When the status of the tank is low, then the green LED will go on to indicate that the tank volume is running low. Apart from that, from the LEDs, I have LDR sensor, which is a light dependent resistor, whose working principle is such that its resistance is reduced when light intensity increases. So basically, when light falls on the surface of the sensor, then electrons jump from the valence band to the conduction band, enabling conduction to take place, and as a result of that, the resistance of the sensor will reduce. So it is that which will actuate the light bulb in case there is no adequate light in the greenhouse. Now next is a DHT11 sensor. So this sensor basically is a sensor that assists in measuring both humidity and atmospheric temperature, and with that we are able to observe the conditions in the greenhouse. The next component that I have here is a DC fan, which is a 12-volt DC fan. So when the atmospheric temperature and humidity are within the below threshold, then this DC fan will basically remain off. But when the threshold is breached, then this DC fan will go on in order to cool the environment and ensure that both temperature, that is both atmospheric temperature and humidity, are kept within the threshold. For this case, our threshold for atmospheric temperature is 25 degrees centigrade, while relative humidity is at 75%. The next component is a PR motion sensor. So this is a sensor that basically measures intrusion or presence of a human body. The working principle is such that when human body passes along the Fresnel zone of the sensor, then the human being will basically radiate infrared radiations, which will be detected by the sensor indicating motion. So in case somebody passes in the range of that sensor, then motion will be detected and then intrusion will be reported, and as a result the red LED will equally go on. Apart from that, I have with me here a relay, which basically does the switching of our load. So the controller will supply it with 3.3 volts supply, which is used to switch the relay, allowing it to connect our load, which basically operates on 12 volt and 5 volts respectively. So the next one is DC pump, which is 12 volt DC pump. This is basically the pump that will be responsible for irrigating the soil in case the soil moisture has really gone below the threshold. I have with me over here a flying fish soil moisture sensor, which measures the percentage soil moisture within the soil, and with that we are able to be guided on when to start and stop our irrigation pump. And then the second last component I have is DS18B20 sensor, which is basically a temperature sensor. So this sensor basically allows us to measure the soil temperature, and with that we are able to be guided on the corrective actions to take, or even providing insights on things like irrigation and application of fertilizer. Just to mention, these sensors are very long lead that allows you to insert it deep into the soil. And the last thing, or the last component we have, actually the second last, is the ultrasonic sensor. Ultrasonic sensor here basically is used to measure the water volume within our irrigation tank. For this case, I'm using a small container here as a model to represent my tank. And then finally, I have with me the SIM1800L, which is basically for notification purposes. So this SIM800L basically allows us to send SMS, receive and make calls, and even make GPRS connections into the internet. So that's basically the role of this. For this case, we'll be using it for notification purposes. Now that is it, and on to the demo. I'll kickstart by demonstrating on how DHT. Okay, allow me to start with a light dependent resistor, how we are able to detect the lighting conditions within the environment, and as a result of that, either turn on or turn off the light bulb to allow the plants to get adequate light for photosynthesis. So at the moment, you will notice that the orange LED is actually off. The reason being my room is well lit, and as a result, the light dependent resistor can measure a good amount of luminous intensity. Actually, at the moment, I can see from my dashboard, it's measuring about 557 candelas of luminous intensity, and that is within the good threshold that can allow plants to photosynthesize. Now, when I now go ahead and cover the LDR with my hands, then you will notice that it will detect darkness, and as a result of that, our bulb should go on in order to be able to light the greenhouse. So let's have a look, and here we go. You can see that the bulb has gone on, and now it's lighting the room because the light dependent resistor has noticed a low or generally darkness within the greenhouse. And when I remove my hands, then that condition will be reset. You can see now the luminous intensity has gone back to 571, and as a result of that, our light bulb is off. The next thing is on intrusion. So allow me to just swipe my hand within the range of the PR motion sensor, and then we'll see what happens with that. So when I swipe my hand over the PR motion sensor, you will notice that my security LED will go on, indicating that intrusion has been detected within the farm. So that is how the intrusion detection works for this system. Next is on DHT 11 sensor. So basically, this sensor measures relative humidity and temperature. At the moment, from the dashboards, I'm able to tell that my atmospheric temperature is at 23 and relative humidity is at 45. And my threshold is such that when relative humidity goes above 25, and when my atmospheric temperature goes above 25, and relative humidity above 75, then for that case, my DC fan will go on just to bring a cooling effect within the environment. Otherwise, it will automatically remain off. At the moment, it's off because such threshold is not met. So allow me to touch on it, and then maybe we can have a look at the dashboard on what happens. So when I touch on the DHT on sensor, then we'll notice that after some time, the relative humidity and the atmospheric temperature will actually rise. Once it's within the threshold that is desired, then you will notice that our DC fan will go on just to cool the environment. So have a look. At the moment, our relative humidity is at 54% and temperature 24%. You can see the relative humidity has risen to 66%, which is about almost about our threshold. Now it's 70%. The threshold for relative humidity is 75%. Our temperature is still at 24 degrees centigrade. So let's give it a minute and see how it's going to impact the conditions of the greenhouse. a bit cold, so the temperature is not rising as fast as possible. And just try to warm it up, then see if there will be some change. Because they started taking a while. Yes, there we go. You can notice that the indicator LED for the relay has actually gone on, meaning that that threshold has been met, and as a result, the fan here is running. I don't know, it's a bit silent, but it's running from my end just to blow the environment and bring cooling impact on the environment. Currently, temperature is at 27 degrees centigrade, and your relative humidity is at 87%. So with that, the fan will remain on until that threshold is unset, of which when that is the case, you will notice that the LED here will go off. And actually that has really happened now, because the conditions have actually gone below the threshold. So that's how the system works. You can try it again to see the impact. You see, it's gone on again. The moment temperature is at 30 degrees centigrade, and our relative humidity is rising to 80%. As a result of that, the fan remains on. When I remove my hand, you will notice that that condition will be reset, because the fan is actually blowing in the environment, so it will cool the environment. And now at 69% relative humidity, and then we realize that our fan goes off. The next thing that I will show you is on the soil moisture sensing. At the moment, we have our sensor inserted inside dry rice grain, just to be able to detect the moisture content within the rice grain. So let's have a look. At the moment, temperature is low, because remember the rice grains are low, and equally the tank volume is equally low, because we don't have any water within our tank model. And as a result of that, when water is added into the tank, or when it's detected that the tank volume is high enough, and then it will mean that the pump should go on to start irrigating the farm. Otherwise, it should remain off, so that we don't have the pump running dry. So let's have a look. I want to intercept the signal from the ultrasonic sensor, and then after intercepting that, it will be able to see that there's enough water in the tank, and as a result of that, you will see our pump going on. So first of all, allow me to turn on the pump. So the pump is currently on, but it's not running. It's only powered but not running, because the water volume within the tank is 0. So the moment I increase that volume to above threshold, then you will hear my pump going on. So I've intercepted the signals, the ultrasonic sensor, and as a result of that, you will see in my dashboard the volume rising from 0 to 253, and with that, you can hear my pump has gone on. So the pump is currently running, because the soil moisture sensor is on dry rice grain. So it will irrigate the pump until that threshold is unset. When I remove my hands, pump is now off because there's no water in the tank, so we can't keep irrigating the farm. Now, with that, we must also remember that this system allows for both local and remote monitoring. So with me is an LCD display which basically assists to ensure that all these conditions and the actions taken are actually displayed locally on the farm, so that if we need to do local monitoring, then there is that is also catered for. We have LCD display here. For example, currently it's reading moisture low. Just a minute. The reading is soil temperature, moisture is low, tank low, then pump off, then no intruder, farm is safe. So it's not able to detect an intruder, and as a result of that, it will remain, it will say that the farm is safe. So, for example, if I try to swap my hand for that, it will automatically detect that, and even will mention that in the LCD display. It will say, it will give me the soil temperature, the atmospheric temperature, which is at 23, then relative humidity at 44, and then it will equally read for me the luminous intensity, and even tell me that light bulb is off as a result of the fact that luminous intensity, which is 535, is actually above the threshold. Yeah, so that's that. Lastly is our GSM module, which is basically meant for notification purposes to a remote user through an SMS. So once we collect all this data, have a look at what happens on my terminal. I'm collecting data locally. Let me try to adjust the lighting. So I'm collecting data locally, and then the moment after collecting the data, then I connect to ThingsBot Cloud and push that data there. And with ThingsBot, I'll now be able to visualize the data, come up with dashboards and even analytics on the condition of the farm. For example, you can see over here now, I'm collecting data for DH11, DS18, P20 temperature sensor, soil moisture sensor, and then LDR sensor. And after doing so, I push site data to cloud. So for example, at the moment the temperature is 23 degrees centigrade, temperature, atmospheric temperature 23, soil moisture 23, and then the next one is LDR, which is the LDR sensor value. It's about 539 candela, and as a result, the lamp is off. Water volume is actually 0 at the moment, and as a result, tank, sorry, the pump is equally off. And after collecting such, then I send the same data to cloud for processing. So that's how we get to have this data into ThingsBot Cloud that allows us to do analytics. One thing that I forgot to show you was the DS18B20 temperature sensor. Currently, the temperature is at about 23. So when I heat it up, then it will be able to detect an increase in soil moisture, soil temperature, and as a result, you get to see what happens within our dashboards. So just a minute, but I'm trying to heat it with my computer. So at the moment, the temperature is actually rising to 24. It's risen to 26. Let me expand this. 36 degrees centigrade, and now it's at 29.3 degrees centigrade. So the values that we measure here are real time. As the condition changes, then our sensors are able to pick it up, then we push it to cloud. Now into the cloud. Now this is what we have. For example, I have my entity table here, which basically uses the latest telemetry from the devices to display the measured quantities. So for example, my atmospheric temperature is at 23 degrees centigrade, relative humidity 44 degrees centigrade, soil temperature about 34 degrees centigrade. Remember, we were heating the sensor, so it's risen to 34 degrees centigrade. Luminous intensity is 536, and so the lamp is off. We have analog soil moisture reading, which is soil moisture sensor reading, which is 1019, where the analog values range from 0 to 1026. Then the next one is percentage soil moisture, which is quite low because the sensor is censoring dry rice grain, so it's about 87%. Tank volume is 0 and water level is equal to 0. Such parameters will automatically change if you try to play around with the sensor, so that they are able to detect different environmental conditions. Now, the next thing in our dashboards is the atmospheric temperature gauge, which basically just displays for us the atmospheric temperature. So you can see at the moment it's at 23 degrees centigrade. Again, allow me to show you the one for soil temperature. Is currently at 36 degrees centigrade, and this is what we have here. Next is relative humidity, which is currently lying at 44%. If I touch on my DHT11 sensor, you will notice what will happen to that dashboard. The value will rise from 44 to a much higher value. Let's have a look in the dashboard. It's rising. It's now 48%. It's risen now to 70, and as a result of that, it's actually rising to 75. You can have a look, at the moment it's at 66%. So as relative humidity changes, then it's automatically displayed on the dashboard. Yes, so that's it. Next is in the dashboard is that for luminous intensity. Currently it's at 528 candelas, sorry, 640 candelas. As a result, the room is well lit and the light lamp is off, so plants can photosynthesize. When I cover my sensor, my light divider transistor sensor, with my hand, it will fall. Now currently it's detecting about 348. Let me cover it in my hands and then see what the impact it will have. At the moment is at 141 candelas, and as a result of that, let's monitor what happens to the light bulb. The light bulb has gone on just to be able to light up the greenhouse to enable plants photosynthesize. When I remove my hand, and the luminous intensity will go high. The moment it goes high, then it will mean that the light bulb should go off. It's now 538, which is above the threshold of 300, and so the light bulb is off. The next thing in our dashboard is just a time series chart, just giving us a trend on how both temperature, that is soil atmospheric temperature, relative humidity, and the soil moisture, soil temperature vary with time. So for example, here you can see that at 1642 we had temperature, soil temperature at 37 degrees, because I'm heating the sensor actually. Let me remove it from the heat. Then that of relative humidity at 35, and then lastly 25 degrees centigrade for atmospheric temperature. Being that I've stopped, I've removed it from the heat, it's expected that within a few minutes it should be able to drop to about 25, which is actually the room temperature. So you can see it's starting to drop here. It's dropping, and with time you will see the soil temperature will almost match that of the atmospheric temperature. Over here again, it's just for soil moisture and soil temperature trend. So soil moisture, for example, now it's averaging to about 0.29% in the soil, because there's no water in the soil, while that of soil temperature is about 34 degrees centigrade. Apart from that, we're able to do visualization and do some analytics using trends analytics. And now the table that I'm having here just gives me the average daily soil temperature. So we do an average of all the days that our device is live or is online, and then display it over here. So for example, the average average soil temperature for 14th of this month was 33, for 15 was 28, followed by 22 for 16, 20 for 17th, on 18th it was 15, and then on 19th it was 11 degrees centigrade. Today the average soil temperature is at 8 degrees because I've just powered on my device. The next one is average daily atmospheric temperature, which actually also ranges from 23 that was for 16, 23 for, and then 23 for today. Then again I have other time series tables, or just tables that displays for us the average relative humidity for the days that my device has been on. Today it's averaging to about 51%. On 16th it was 59. Then on 15th 63. On 14th it was 14. Sorry, it was 60%. And then again over here I have daily tank water volume that has been used, that has been consumed. So on 20th we have 2010 centimeters cubic. On 15th it was 4,574, and lastly on 14th it was 4,976. Apart from that, I have this nice bar graphs, which basically visualizes or displays the trend in farm conditions like luminous intensity, relative humidity, atmospheric temperature, and soil soil moisture, percentage soil moisture. The beauty with this bar graphs is that you can filter out. So when you click on the legends here, you see it will only display for you the bars for that quantity, which is luminous intensity, and we can even filter them out by clicking on it, so that we only display whatever is left. Yeah, so that is some good feature here that we can get from the analytics. And lastly, here I have a trend line equally indicating how the various conditions have been trending in the farm for the past about 6 days. So again, with this you can actually filter them out so that you only left what you want, like that, by just clicking on the widgets. So the last thing to display is only maybe to demo how the soil volume or the soil volume dashboard will change. At the moment you can see it's about 0. I want to just intercept it, then we see what happens. So the water volume is expected to rise. Because I'm intercepting the ultrasonic signals. Now the tank volume has risen to about 50. The sensor is a bit loosely fitted, so see the tank volume has now risen to 251, and as a result of that you expect the pump to go on so that irrigation can proceed. So basically that's the functionality of the system. Still fine-tuning on a number of issues that will ensure that the system remains very robust, so that it can automatically operate without any human intervention. So thanks for watching or listening to my demo, and see you next time. Bye bye.